the costume parade and I met someone. He came up to me and he was like, hey. And was like, hi. So here's my Mechagodzilla Yamakatsu I got. I got a Orga Bandai for $40. He was $20. And his Ultraman was free. And here's the costume parade.
I know we're already a little bit late starting, but
I met Eric King
short a
earlier.
couple of guests, and I think you must have exhausted them with your autograph demands all day. So we'll give them another couple of minutes, and if not, we'll get underway. I know we are a little bit pressed to get going because I know there are a lot of people in some very hot costumes, very little people in some very hot costumes that are coming up after this. So I think that we've got calls out and we'll be able to get underway, I hope, in about another 5 minutes. So I'll ask for your patience. Thank you very much.
Okay. I can't clap, I have to use one hand. That's a good costume. Good costume.
Is this what you guys got today?
Well, these guys are mine.
These three are mine. This one, and this one.
What Ultraman you got?
This is Ultraman Jack. Yeah. Here is Orga and a Mechagodzilla.
This one's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yamakatsu.
Yeah.
$40 for it?
Yeah. Yay! Zoom in.
Should let this guy drive. He has goggles. So does this guy. Well, Mom has goggles.
We're going to get underway, so I would like to welcome everyone to the opening ceremonies of the 25th G-Fest, if you can believe it. Thank you.
Yay!
I will make some remarks, necessarily brief, but it seems a shame because you could go on for a long time after having a convention for 25 years. It's actually something that is very significant, and I hope that everybody here appreciates that and our role as a group in sustaining this convention for such a long time. We're actually older than a lot of the other conventions and have been going on longer, and we've had a very nice growth curve as well. We've learned lessons along the way, and I think it's been a fairly smooth ride. But it's also a time, I think, to reflect a little bit on what we have accomplished here over the past 25 years. And of course, one of the first things that comes to mind, especially when seeing our guests up at the front, is that having had G-Fest for such a long time has enabled us to meet some fabulous people that probably none of us ever expected that we would be able to meet. Suit actors like Mr. Satsuma, actresses, actors like Miss Odaka, and people that have been technicians and very important behind the scenes like Mr. Murase as well. So these three, I think, are an excellent representation of a wonderful experience that all of us have been able to have over the past more than 2 decades. So we can be very grateful for that. But I think that another important thing about G-Fest is that we have been able, through this convention, to allow to tell these people and their contemporaries what they have meant to us in our lives, and we've been able to form relationships with them. Mr. Satsuma, for example, he was the first guest. He and Mr. Nakajima in 1996 were our first 2 guests at what would become G-Fest at that point. And many others that have come over the course of the years have, I think it's been a wonderful thing that we've been able to give them a message that they might not otherwise have been able to get, that there is a huge body of fans to tell them face to face in many cases, and I can tell you over the years, it's been a great surprise and a very pleasant surprise to many of them to know how appreciated their work has been so far away from where they've actually done it. So I think that too is something that's very important about G-Fest that goes beyond the pleasure that we get out of all the activities that we do and meeting the guests, but it's the messages that we've communicated over the years as well. And the relationships are real and strong. I think of Mr. Takarada, who was to be here this year, who I like to call the godfather of G-Fest. He kind of adopted this convention. He's done so much for us over the years, not only here and helping us with the convention, but also with the tours that we've taken over there and the arrangements he's made. And he wouldn't be doing that for us unless we meant something to him as well. And so I think that his actions speak very loudly to the strong connections that we've made between our fan community and the community of Japan. I think that's a wonderful thing. I know that Mr. Nakajima's daughter, Sonaway, has expressed how important our feelings and our expression of feelings have been since her father's passing, and how much they've helped her. And not only that, and maybe even more importantly than that, how we buoyed up Mr. Nakajima in the latter years of his life. That he felt that G-Fest and the meetings with the fans here and at other conventions that he did as well were almost a reason for him to keep going. And I've been told by Tim Bean, who often accompanied him, that he could see the energy of the fans that fed into Mr. Nakajima and gave him such a lift at a time when he needed it. We've got in your program, we've got congratulations from people that we have had over in the past and have extended their congratulations to our 25th anniversary, and I know that many of them have had wonderful positive experiences. So this is something that we've been able to give back, I guess, to the people that made these movies, and I think that's a really important accomplishment that this convention has made over its 25 years. And then finally, amongst ourselves, I think something that we also don't want to overlook is the connections that we've made between each other here. The friendships that have been formed, and year after year with families coming back, and how some of us have watched little kids grow up and become adults and then bring their own children here and so forth, and how, I think that maybe part of the measure of anyone's life is the relationships that they have. And I think G-Fest has been just an incredible thing for building relationships between people. And people come every year and sort of feel that they've been enfolded into a big family. And so, aside from all the fun and the activities and the model building and the filmmaking and so forth, I think there's actually something much more fundamental that has been accomplished by our convention over the last 25 years. So I'm so pleased to welcome you all back to celebrate this 25th. And can we give ourselves a big hand for not only making it,
I'm hitting my arm because I can't clap.
I'd like to introduce this time our distinguished guests. I'll start with the far end of the table and the benches, and ask each to say a word of greeting. First of all, a young lady that certainly needs no introduction because she became the sweetheart of all G fans through the Heisei Godzilla series, and we watched her progress through a series of roles as the longest continuing character in the Godzilla series, which is a real major accomplishment. She visited us last in 2000, and we are so thrilled to be able to welcome her back to help us celebrate our 25th anniversary. So please give a big hand to Miss Megumi Ogata.
Yay! I said yay. I can't see anyone. Can't see anyone up there.
25周年おめでとうございます。
Congratulations on 25 years!
Yeah!
I was here in 2000, actually in California in 2000, but it's been 18 years since I've been here. But I haven't changed, huh?
Yay!
明日にまた会ったりすると、その時の写真を拝見させていただくととても懐かしく思います。
He says, she said even then, she remembers some of the pictures taken together, she's seen some of the faces she saw then, now, and it's just a lot of good memories from then, and she hopes to make some more now too.
She makes more now. What does she even do?
生まれて5週間目の赤ちゃんをと一緒に生まれて5週間目の赤ちゃんとファミリーで写真撮らせてもらったので、また次回がとても楽しみです。
She is really ready for the next generation of Godzilla fans as well. She took a picture with a family, had a 5-week-old child, so she's ready for the next generation.
Yeah! Oh, that was really bad.
JD and all the fans, congratulations. Let's have a great G-Fest.
Yay! Like that, yay! Yeah.
Our next guest, we were very fortunate to have. We have been trying to get him to come, but it hasn't worked out. And pardon me, this year with Mr. Takarada's illness, I believe, and I've been led to understand that Mr. Takarada reached out. He wanted someone of real stature to be able to come to replace him in this program. And so he helped arrange Mr. Satsuma to come to be with us this time. Mr. Satsuma also last appeared at G-Fest in 2000, but he was also, as I mentioned, the first guest with Mr. Nakajima to come to G-Fest and really started a trend of bringing Japanese guests over to the West to meet their fans. Of course, we know that he's played many kaiju from Hedora to Daigan, but mostly Godzilla through the Heisei series.
Yay! Go! Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that the image of Godzilla created by Mr. Satsuma is the one that most people think of when they hear the word Godzilla. So we're so honored and grateful for you to come back too and help us celebrate our 25th anniversary. Thank you so much.
Yay! Clapping sound.
私のゴジラ人生っていうのはね、最初このダイヤモンドピンチヒッター、ピンチヒッターだ。
He's funny.
And the first time when he was going to become Godzilla, he was actually a pinch hitter for somebody else.
今回もね、25周年記念に招かれるようになったのもピンチヒッターなんです。
And now 25 years, well, many years later, and for the 25th anniversary, he's now the pinch hitter again.
大先輩がね、ちょっとなんだすけど、ちょこってなったもんだからどうしても私をね頼まれました。あれだな、行かないわけにいかないからね。
I got a phone call from Mr. Takarada, and I wasn't thinking about going anywhere, but when Mr. Takarada calls, you listen.
That's right, I guess.
これでね、JD さんの、お会いしたのも今から20年くらい前かな。もうちょっと前ですかね。中島さん来た時は。そう。それでね。
He says it's been a long. We met the first time 20 years, but more than 20 years ago, right? The first time, yeah. Yeah.
でしょ？
Yeah.
ベイビー。
Yeah, and JD's babies were very small too. Another.
So they,
That's not it.
what?
Okay, bye.
And when he first saw the daughter, JD's daughters, he go like this, and they go ah, they go like this, and ah. And now he looks at me and says, "They're bigger than I am."
These are the ones I bought.
And they're really beautiful too.
You mean like at my house? Yeah. Oh yeah, I have like 80 more, maybe.
Well, today I have
非常に
over 100,
年
including
月が経ってるんだけれども、
Well, I have like
今回お会いして
400, but yeah, okay.
そういう年月の差を
like I have over
感じないと、
140.
藤川さんね、
I have like
最高でしたよ。
I learned about
Yeah, even then it was a great time there, a great time then. It was just excellent. Psycho means the best. So we had a great time then.
what?
one for me.
どうも
How
あ
old
り
even
がと
are
う。
you?
口を回さないね。
What grade are you in?
どうもありがとうございました。
Says his mouth is hard to get open. He's had something in his mouth right now, but he gave you the guys a call and he says, "Thank you very much. It's been a good
I'm
time."
small for my age.
How old are you?
I'm going into 7.
How
So we're going to 7. So I am 12.
Welcome,
Yeah,
Mr.
Godzilla is hot to
Yeah, you're not,
mouth.
you just like this.
There he
I know I'm small for my age.
old? I don't care. It's impressive.
I guess. It's John Large Fry.
Wait, dude,
We,
we
of
sit
course,
down
have
right
seen
here.
Satsu-san and Odaka-san
I
many
took one,
times
that's
on
why.
screen and enjoyed them, but we also know that these movies can't be produced without the people behind the scenes.
Then I have to
And
like this.
so while we may not have seen our next guest on the screen, we've certainly seen the work that he's done on the screen. The suits of many monsters, including Mothra and Baragon and Titanosaurus, and many that I think we would all agree
His
are
arms are like
the most artistic and beautiful and realistic of the monsters as well, and also many of the props that he's worked on. And so we are also very grateful to have with us for our 25th, for the first time, the classic Toho era behind the scenes technician, Mr. Keizo Uwase.
It won't be high enough.
呼んでいただいたスタッフの皆さん、それから、こうやって大勢の方が来て